Hi, Susan,
Hi, Marty.
you're early.
I am. I just happened to be sitting here, but I'm going to go do something else and I'll be back in a moment.
I'm going to do the same. Thank you.
I successfully.
Lisa, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Are we ready? Will you be giving me a thumbs up when you're ready for me? Okay. How will I know when to start? Okay. Yeah, yeah. If you can hear me, someone please nod. Okay, great. I would like to welcome you all. 2 thumbs up from Susan Russell, that's good. I would like to welcome you all to Midcoast Conservancy's 2020 annual and first virtual meeting. Times are different. My name is Buck O'Haron and I'm the board president. I don't need to tell anyone what has been a challenging year, and especially for those who work full-time and might also be raising children. The challenges of having to run an organization during a pandemic are many, and I am in awe of how hard our staff and interns have worked this year under such difficult circumstances. Board members and other volunteers have also rolled up their sleeves and contributed significant time and energy to ensure that our work remains vital for our communities. Everyone deserves a lot of credit. As most of you know, our founding executive director, Jody Jones, deservedly retired this past summer, as did our assistant director, Steve Patton. We are greatly appreciative of the work that both of them did to get us where we are today after the initial merger of our organizations now 5 years ago. In August, Lissa Widoff was hired as our interim director, while an internal search effort is underway to find a permanent executive director. Lissa got up to speed in a hurry and has done a great job running the ship, supporting staff, and helping us assess where we are as an organization and determining what resources we need going forward. I am excited that more of you will get a chance to meet her today during this meeting. If you registered for this meeting, you are eligible for a door prize, and winners will be announced at the end of the meeting. You are now going to see a short and inspiring documentary film about the Sheepscot River and the dam removal and restoration efforts that have taken place during the past couple of years. It was a collaborative project that was years, many years in the making, and included partners, the Atlantic Salmon Federation, Maine Department of Marine Resources, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Fisheries, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, local towns, and of course, Midcoast Conservancy. I think you'll enjoy the video. Thanks for joining us tonight.
the river.
So we are connected to everything. They're connected to each other as species. We are connected to the river as humans.
And I remember really clearly once standing on a bridge looking for my first alewife run. And I looked down in the water and there was nothing going on. You know, it was just black. And then all of a sudden one of the fish rolled. And I realized that what I was looking at was fish, bank to bank, top to bottom. That's what we're supposed to see.
People's
Hello, everyone. Let's see what's going on there. We shared screen and it didn't work. So give me 2 seconds here. Let's see why. This isn't working.
They're important to me. This one is very important to me because I live on it.
Every drop of water that falls somewhere on land flows down into the river. And there's a story and it's cyclical. And everybody has impact and therefore we have responsibility. There's a Wabanaki prophecy that says that the new dawn it'll happen in the Dawnland. Wabanaki territory is the Dawnland.
What I think changed minds of people along the Sheepscot was the understanding that we really do have a national treasure here.
It's a small coastal river, but it's incredibly biodiverse. We have all 12 sea-run fish species in the river, which is rare.
We think immediately of Atlantic salmon. They're the king predator of fish.
Rainbow smelt, sea-run brook trout, Atlantic sturgeon,
tomcod, short-nosed sturgeon. Okay, wait, let me try again.
Certainly the one we've been, so far at least, the most successful has been river herring, both bluebacks and alewives. But shad would have come up this river in massive numbers. Stripers are coming up now in pretty good numbers and picking off the young alewives.
The elvers are in this river. They have come back from the Sargasso Sea, and they will then go back.
And when we get more lampreys up this river, who spawn and then their bodies decompose and all of those nutrients go filtering down through the column and the crayfish are there picking them off. And the bass are eating the crayfish and the mink are eating the crayfish and the otters are eating the crayfish. You know, it's all linked.
When mussels are larvae, when they're in their early life stage, they actually hook on to the gills of fish. And so they take a ride and that's how they're able to disperse themselves.
If you think of a river like an artery, the fish are a lot like blood cells that carry the nutrients up and down the river.
So we are connected to everything. They're connected to each other as species. We are connected to the river as humans.
And I remember really clearly once standing on a bridge looking for my first alewife run. And I looked down in the water and there was nothing going on. You know, it was just black. And then all of a sudden one of the fish rolled. And I realized that what I was looking at was fish, bank to bank, top to bottom. That's what we're supposed to see.
People's first interest in the river was thinking of it as a source of food, secondly as a source of power, to run their grist mills and their fulling mills and their sawmills. It wasn't for 100 years or more that they realized that they were preventing a lot of fish from getting where they needed to go in order to have more fish.
My grandparents, when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, they had not seen in their lifetime what this river was capable of.
There are a lot of towns like Whitefield that have old dams like this that were built a couple hundred years ago, and a lot of them are degrading.
The dam was leaking severely, and this time of year, with the low flow out of the river, our hydrant was out of water.
The town really didn't want to spend a lot of money fixing up the dam, and so it's like, so where do we go from there?
The partners really hosted a variety of meetings with the town, the community, with the select board, with the fire department, and we held these meetings monthly for a couple of years to really start from the bottom up And we went in with no preconceived notion. We had the goal of reestablishing connectivity and creating fish passage, working through that process together to arrive at the solution that we all felt confident in was really the critical piece to making this project successful. Because Cooper's Mills Dam was a sought-after dam removal project for decades. I think timing was important, but also that the fact that we did start from the bottom and worked our way up.
There's a lot of questions, a lot of answers, and we finally put it all together and went to the townspeople and said, this is the best we're going to have, I think. Right. You know, the alternative was to let the dam fall down, then we'd have nothing. We would have nothing. We would have a dry riverbed or a riverbed like we see right now that we had no way of getting water out of.
Before the dam came out, Cooper's Mills always had a dry hydrant intake in the impoundment. So we designed in 2 pools to make sure they'd always have one here.
And that was the bottom line for the town. And leaving parts of the dam on the overlook so that there was that connection to the past and it wasn't just completely taken away.
Right. There was a lot of thought in that. I mean, the people that were developing this site took that all into consideration. They worked with that historical society too.
And they listened to the people in the village.
Yep.
For many years, this dam was really seen as a nuisance and it was extremely unsafe. And by improving the site and removing the unsafe assets, we were able to turn that on its head and able to allow people to now access the river.
We actually had a lot of fun over the last year of being on the edges of this massive construction project at the Head Tide Dam, because it didn't take out the whole dam as it did Cooper's Mills. It modified an existing dam. I used to walk down to the bottom of the hill here and look down into a pool where all the alewives had come all the way up from the ocean, ready to get all the way up to spawning ground, and they were just masked there because they couldn't go any further, because the water coming through the little holes in the dam was just too strong for them.
You know, there was no question there was lots of tension about the change that we were advocating for. And yet when we finally compromised and found a solution that'll allow fish to go upriver at least 90% of the days when they want to move.
They're going to run through there. I can't wait to see it. It's the most exciting thing. You're going to be able to stand on a platform and look down and watch them. Hopefully we'll see shad go through.
But that's actually why the grate that is at head tide is open like that, is to convince the shad that it's just branches up above and they won't be nervous about passing under there, because they have been notoriously nervous about concrete and so forth.
In the spring every year, I call it the Kevlar hatch. It's when all the kayaks and the canoes have high enough water to come down from Kings Mills and come through right to head tide. This year, they'll be able to go right on through. And so there's another migration that might be happening, some people. And part of this reconstruction project also provided a safe place for them to pull out, because it used to be a little dicey at times. Not only that, but there's a swimming hole here, which is the other reason I'm glad the dam stayed, because it scoured out a deep swimming hole that's been part of people that I know whose grandfathers lived here, who used to swim in that swimming hole. So we have preserved that for the kids, and for the adults too, for that matter.
My grandchildren have always swum in the river. A couple of them learned to swim there. In fact, they swim with a snapping turtle that's about 1.5 feet long. And every once in a while we see her. In fact, one year she came out of the river and up to my garden and laid her eggs in my beet row.
Those kinds of things, I think, anchor us. You know, they give our lives meaning, they give us context.
The river belongs to us all, and we all should be able to not only use it, but then if we do use it, we then learn to respect it.
We completed the project just 2 years ago, but the ecosystem is responding so strongly. And I could see it days after we breached the dam when we were able to remove the dam completely. I was able to watch juvenile alewife that had spawned in ponds upstream move down with ease. Within a year after removing the dam, we saw more Atlantic salmon reds above this area than we had ever seen before.
I think this restoration project is the kind of thing that can give young people hope, because you see, if you give nature a chance, she can come back in such a strong way.
It took a lot of people. It took a lot of imagination. It took a lot of effort, a lot of belief. There were many times that people were ready to give up. It took money. It will always take money. It'll always take people who care. And I think it's a work of a lifetime to be proud of.
Now, with apologies, folks, we're having trouble getting the other screen back. All right, Lisa.
Okay. Chris, I think if you go to share screen, perfect. There you go. And yeah, well, all right. I'll give you a moment to hit the spotlight. All right. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. So glad to have you join us and share this inspiring story. I'm Lissa Widoff, and the video is called Magic on the River. It was sponsored in part by the Nature Conservancy and Atlantic Salmon Federation, who've been partners with us on this multi-year project. You know, I just want to say I'm struck by Susan Russell's reminder to us that this is the work of a lifetime. It's really a call for all of us to think about our own experience and our love for the landscape, and also what we're leaving for future generations. I've been with Midcoast Conservancy since August, and one of the reasons I took the job was learning about the Atlantic salmon returning to my part of the river, which is the northern headwaters in Freedom and Montville. It's truly an inspiring story, and it really gives us hope for the future, as well as, I think, embodying our vision as an organization that we can protect and we can restore. And that work of restoration and care is really, it's many lifetimes. And so I'm really honored to be part of the organization, be part of Midcoast Conservancy at this time. We have so much to still do and celebrate. And so at this meeting, and my part of the meeting is really, I think it's also an honor to share with you just some of the successes that we've had in a pretty crazy year for all of us. You know, our vision and our mission really speak to, you know, the world we want to create, not just the world we have today, but the world we want to create, where our lands and waters are healthy and protected, and nature is important to all of us. So it's a time for us to really take stock and move forward. Next slide is what I wanted. Okay. Chris. Well, you know, in the meantime, while we're pulling the slide back up, a couple of quick facts about Midcoast Conservancy. We have close to 1,700 members. across the 3 watersheds in which we work, which are the Sheepscot watershed, Medomec River, of course, and the Damariscotta Lake watershed. We've protected over 13,000 acres. We have 55 preserves covering close to 7,000 acres. The rest we have conservation easements, which are partnerships with private landowners who also share our values of preserving land. We've got hundreds of volunteers, over 95 miles of public access land. And we serve over 20 towns, about 24, 25, 26 towns in our Midcoast region. So it's really an enormous responsibility we have to be that environmental steward and caretaker of the land. As I said, we do land protection, right? So we're working on wildland protection and working lands, habitat restoration, working on fish passage, reconnecting the Sheepscot River is really for migratory fish is just one part of what we do. Some of you may know us for the water quality monitoring we do at Damariscotta Lake and Medomec, as well as the Sheepscot. So, going forward in this talk, and hopefully we'll have some slides to join it. Chris, I'm not seeing slides on the view here. I'm just seeing me, which, could be fun for a while, but we got lots of great I spent a lot of time getting these pictures together. So
all right, I'm going to unmute myself here for a second because I can see the slides and I'm screen sharing, but
now I see it. Now I see it, Chris. I was just.
All right. Let's see what happens there.
So I think if you just put it to full screen, we should catch up. I'm right there.
That's where we lost it before. Let's see if it works.
All right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I think I'm sure given how efficiently you all joined this call, my sense is you're experienced at doing Zoom calls, and I think we all have developed new capacities for patience as we're trying to do this. So thank you so much for that. So again, part of the work that we do really falls into sort of three big areas. We call them pillars, land, water, and community. As I said, doing land protection, habitat restoration, water quality monitoring. Next slide. And many of you know, one of our most well-used and popular preserves, Hidden Valley, and that's really the center of many of our community programs. It's a property with over 1,000 acres, 25 miles of trails. We estimate on an annual basis probably 7,000 visitor days all year long. We know that close to 100 folks have leased out skis and equipment for their families for the upcoming cross-country ski season there. And you may also know that one of the significant aspects of Hidden Valley is it's a really well-regarded and well-managed community forest that demonstrates low-impact forestry. That's something we're really proud of, and proud of the partnership we have with prior owners, Tracy Moskowitz and Bambi Jones, and their commitment to that property and really having it available for community, and now part of our legacy as well. Next slide. So this is a way to have us introduce our staff to you. I regret that we can't all be in person, and I just think it was really important for us to sort of show you the names and faces of the folks behind all of the great work here. Christian Shorn joined us just before the pandemic and has been managing, navigating, getting out to all of our preserves, meeting with folks who are helping us maintain trails and so on. Anna Fiedler, who I'm sure many of you know, has worked for us for many years, and with Sheepscot Wellspring Land Alliance before that, doing land protection. Tim Libby does our forest and lands work. Andy Beeson was, if you got skis this year, you got them from Andy. That's sort of our land and Hidden Valley team. And our water team is Shree Verrill, who's Senior Watershed Restoration Manager and was featured in the film you just saw. And Patricia Neese is our our go-to gal for Damerscott Lake. She was our main Conservation Corps intern this summer, and we've hired her on. It's too good to let her go, so really thrilled to have her join the staff. And in mid-January, we're bringing on Tim Trumbauer, who is coming up from the Chesapeake Bay region with enormous experience in watershed restoration and water quality monitoring, and will be a really, really strong part of our lands, water, and community team. So, and then there's those of us sort of behind the scenes here, myself and Chris Massey, development director, and attempting to be a tech guru, but I think we'll mostly keep him in the development arena. Chris Pennick, who's does our administration work and finance work, and Whitney Miller joined us this fall as our database manager. So that's been a really great asset. And Allie, I just want to acknowledge Allie, who really is air traffic control. I mean, she's our communications manager and office support in so many different ways. And so she too is really, she's everywhere all the time. And so I really want to give a shout out to our amazing, amazing staff. So here we are in the middle of a pandemic on a Thursday night. Snow's on the ground, at least where I am. And, you know, it could be easy to think, well, how do we celebrate? How do we celebrate when there's really been so much challenge to so many in our community and around the world, really? And, you know, for us, we have found that we recognize more than ever that we're offering something that people really need right now. People need that solace and restorative place in the world and connecting with nature. And so our work has had to continue, the lands and water protection and working on fish passage, finding ways to help community, community leaders really come forward. And it's also important for us to reflect on, it's been 5 years since the 4 organizations merged, and a year and a half since Madomic Valley Land Trust joined us. We have so many new members and volunteers that it's really, a good time to really recognize what we've accomplished this year. You know, sheltering in place, it can be a place of solitude, you know, in nature, but it could also, we've found ways to get people together, helping with trails, our huts and yurts at Hidden Valley are booked through spring. People really are connecting in place in the outdoors more than ever before. Next slide. So, you know, caring for our waters. We have three main pillars in our work: water, land, and community. And so we're going to touch on each of these as we think about what we might be focusing on going forward. But really for the long term, you know, we're stewarding our waters and responding to pressures on our waters. I mean, just as an example, I was up till 10 o'clock last night at an all planning board meeting where we're sort of trying to address incursions into a really strong and beautiful shoreline zoning ordinance in that town. And this past summer, many of you saw, you know, with some concern, great concern, cyanobacteria bloom on Damerscott Lake. Now, cyanobacteria are like 3.5 billion-year-old organizations. They've been here longer than all of us. And it's just the conditions are such that with warming temperatures and increasing nutrients coming into Damerscott Lake, we're beginning to see a proliferation of these organisms, which if there are too many of them, can really create toxic conditions. So for us, it was really important to work with Bigelow Lab and DEP and our own volunteer water quality monitors, a few of whom were the ones to even alert us to this concern, to do rapid testing and really try and think about how we might respond. So we're committed over the long term to be protecting water quality. It's really been, you know, over 30 years, close to 40 years that volunteers have been monitoring water. We're working on invasive plants, nesting loons, educating the next generation of stewards, there's so many areas in which we're hoping to continue to maintain a commitment. And importantly, this coming year, if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity and a way to join us and help the Damascotta Lake watershed, we're going to be doing a watershed survey, and we'll need many volunteers. So please let me know, or Patricia Neese, our Damascotta Lake watershed coordinator. You know, and as we said before, you know, Sheepscot River, next slide, has been and will absolutely continue to be a focus for us. We're paddling forward on fish passage. You know, the map on the right points out, you know, the lower gray bar is, you know, one of the dam projects that we've worked on. And in the coming couple of years, we'll be working at Branch Pond, which is in the upper reaches of the watershed. All of this is with partnership. All of this, as Susan Russell said in Magic on the River, is, you know, has to be a result of partnerships and community members. And, you know, the Sheepscot really is sort of the heart and the core of our service area. And it's well loved by so many. I want to give a shout out to Shri, our current watershed restoration manager, and also Miranda Nemeth and other staff and other organizations that have been part of this incredible success. It's really, I think all of you, everyone on this call has contributed in some way to this success. We've been water quality monitoring for 27 years. You know, it's really amazing. At the Medomic, you know, the Medomic Land Trust Medomic Valley Land Trust joined about a year and a half ago. And this is an instance where certainly we'll all continue to do land protection in that region as well, but it's an opportunity for us to bring some of our water experience and water quality monitoring and look at tidal areas where we can restore shellfish, look at oyster aquaculture and other opportunities. Just as some of you know, there are various barriers in freshwater areas, whether it's a dam or a culvert placed too high. In tidal areas too, there are many barriers and restrictions. And so I think restoration is going to be sort of part of our framing of how we think about going forward. We can protect and we can monitor, but we also have to restore. It's got to be part of the picture going forward. So right now, barring any further technical difficulties, I'm gonna we're gonna have a couple of staff members sort of talk about highlights that are in their work area. And so I'm gonna hand it over to Anna to talk about land protection highlights.
Thanks, Lissa. So over the last 5 years since Midcoast formed, we have conserved, as of today, only 4 acres shy of 2,300 acres. 50 different projects, miles along the Sheepscot River and other waterways as well. We just had incredible. If you can, Chris, the next slide is, I want to show folks the map. You're probably working on it. And you know, your land trust works in Damascotta Lake watershed, the Medomic Valley watershed, and that includes 450 square miles. And so we'll show you in a moment a map. Here we go. So the brown on this map is land that's conserved by other entities. The orange is land that was conserved by founding organizations of Midcoast Conservancy, and the green is land that we've conserved since we formed, since Midcoast Conservancy formed, or since organizations joined. And so you can see kind of in the center left, the biggest chunk is Hidden Valley, but the real success here is that we've been able to think regionally. Go ahead to the next slide, Chris. And we've been able to really put together projects that are connected to each other, doing this work on a scale that matters in a way that matters. So in 2020, we've had some really incredible projects coming through. 6 beautiful additions to our preserves, 5 additions to preserves and 1 easement And a lot of this was made possible by partnerships. So one of them was our Musquash Pond project in Jefferson, which the Nature Conservancy made possible as a partner. Gorgeous, gorgeous undeveloped pond. Another was the addition to Bass Falls Preserve, which Roland Barth donated in memory of his father, Reverend Joseph Barth, alongside his wife there, Barbara. And then on the lower right, an image of our F. Cunningham Preserve addition, which was 12 acres of mostly salt marsh, really incredible addition to a preserve in Newcastle, and Maine Coast Heritage Trust funding made that one possible. And then an addition to our Whitefield Salmon Preserve, which included partnership, and all of these are in partnership with landowners. The F. Cunningham Preserve was a partnership with Hugh Sherman, and the Whitefield Salmon Preserve edition in partnership with Joanne Tribby and Ellis Percy, and they made it possible for us to expand and protect forever land that had been under an easement but was not, could have gotten divided, and it included trails, and so now those are forever protected through preserve. Next slide. And then just today we had, and they're on the call, Sue Walker and Bob Lightfoot we've been working together for a couple of years on a donation of an easement on their land on the Sheepscot River, and they named it the Brook Floater Easement in honor of the fact that it has habitat for this really sexy mussel, which is also rare, called the brook floater, that does live in the Sheepscot River. Next slide, Chris. And so they, this is a lovely gift through a conservation easement, thanks to their generosity. So the other real success we had this year, the final project, was the last in a series of projects in Liberty that we're calling McLaughlin's Crossing, and it included it's our second community forest, 1,700 or 1,100 plus, almost 1,200 connected protected acres. It abuts the Lake St. George State Park, and includes a great deal of Sheepscot River frontage, habitat for Atlantic salmon, and then potential for many different recreational uses, including the possibility of biking. There's habitat there for moose, for species that need large areas to thrive. And so one of the things we'll be doing in coming year is really asking the community, which is part of having this, it's funding from the Community Forest Program, which is a federal program. And we will be asking the community what they think are some of the uses that should be happening at this preserve. So it's just a really exciting piece of kind of the way we're putting the pieces together. And this is a number of projects over 8 years. So now I wanted to turn, I think that's my last slide, right? Mm-hmm. Wanted to turn it over to Andy Beason, our Director of Hidden Valley and Community Programs.
Hey, thanks, Anna. So it's been obviously a really hard year for the organization, but we're just trying to make the most out of it in as many ways as we can. So at Hidden Valley and with the community programs, we accelerated our time frame for transitioning from the AmeriCorps program, which is doing direct service in schools, to focusing on community leader trainings. And that's been a part of the program since we started in 2016, of bringing resources to the community and training community leaders. So that was accelerated by a year with the pandemic. And there's really three main components to the community leader training program. The first is giving them the skills so they know how to use high quality gear. And the third is access to trails that are convenient. They don't have to drive 2 hours away to go to a ski resort, but there's preserves and land that's protected for them to access year round that's within a 15-minute drive. So this fall, just in September, October, and November, we've been able to partner with about a dozen different community groups and schools during the pandemic, which has resulted in over 450 participant experiences, which is one student at Hidden Valley for one experience. So we've really been successful with that, and we're able to do that with our newfound time, not delivering direct service programs, but being able to focus on that outreach and partner with those community groups out at Hidden Valley. We're also working to increase our outreach for forestry programming at Hidden Valley and trying to get our demonstration forest more in the spotlight. So Tim's leading the charge here. And this winter, we have a 3-part series on timber stand improvement and other forest walks scheduled for February. So another thing that the pandemic, we've been able to make lemonade out of lemons, is without hosting all of our regular large events and programs to the same way we have in the past, we've had increased stewardship. So we've done extensive road and trail improvements, doing about a dozen culvert and water crossings that was sponsored through NRCS and their Forest Trails and Landings program. We've rebuilt major bridges. We've installed or processed over 12 cords of firewood, which we do every year for our huts and cabins at Hidden Valley. And then all of the other value-added products like timber frames and also funky furniture that's for sale. And then another style, so outside of the community leader programs, we're also trying to provide more self-service programs to the public. So examples of the self-service programs would be our trail guys, where families or school groups can come grab a map and try to find the different trail guys that are all scattered out over the 25 miles and the 1,000 acres at Hidden Valley, and they can enter in to win an overnight. We've done geocaching, where again, they can download the puzzle and go try to find the different pieces on different preserves. We've also started dabbling a bit more into gear rentals. So providing that gear for families or school groups who might be out of school or in their small pandemic pod to come be able to access gear and get on the land at Hidden Valley. And at that, I'll hand it back to Lissa.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Andy and Anna. So this slide, First Light Learning Journey. First Light Learning Journey is a program that is a collaboration between land trusts in Maine and Maine Wabanaki tribes. And it's truly a learning journey. Midcoast Conservancy has staff and this year a committee member, Janet McMahon in our lands committee and Christian Shorn, our stewardship manager, who are participating. And it's the second cohort of folks who are on this journey. And the journey is such a perfect metaphor, because you sort of, you need to take a step at a time. And it may not, in this case, be exactly clear where we're going, but I'd say that it's time for the land trust community to recognize that, the relationship that we have with land and the love we have for the land and the relationship we build with the land also has a dimension that hasn't been very visible. And that is the pre-existing relationship that the Wabanaki people of this region also have with the land. And so it's been a multi-year effort. Maine Coast Heritage Trust and longtime land conservationist Peter Forbes sort of launched this a few years ago, really with a wish and a prayer and a small grant to begin this process. And as I understand it, there are sort of a couple hundred folks involved, or there's certainly close to 100, at least 100 folks involved this year from many, many different land trusts across the state. I'm really proud that Midcoast Conservancy is part of that. And, for us, there's not necessarily a specific outcome, but it really is about building a relationship with the tribe so that we can begin to understand, like, what is the shared territory of understanding that we have in thinking about conservation, restoration, and protection going forward. Peter often says that the work together can only move as fast as the speed of trust. This is a new dimension for us and many, many other land trusts. In some cases we may and others may recognize Wabanaki names of places on our preserves and on our rivers. and even saying our river, the sense of ownership, when in fact it's a reciprocal relationship that we can begin to develop in our language and how we do our work. So I'm really excited about our participation in this and the trust that we hope we can build going forward. So I just really wanted to share that with you. So, Midcoast Conservancy as an organization has been around for 5 years, recognizing that there's sort of decades preceding that, decades and many different organizations. And so, as part of that coming together, there were some goals set, and it's really important to say at this point, we really have met so many of those goals, raising funds for operations, for land protection, for fish passage, for embracing students and groups at Hidden Valley, for really sort of building our staff. We need more, but we're still trying to sort of deepen that commitment to community. We completed the acquisition of Hidden Valley as part of our land base and program base. We have a permanent office, and as we said, also the recent merger with Midcoast Valley Land Trust. So we're now an organization that has 5 different histories, and we're trying to build a new history going forward. So at this point, I really want to give a shout out. And again, I've only just begun to get to know the two of you, but Maureen Hoffman and Susan Russell, who were both worked as campaign chair and founding board chair for Midcoast Conservancy to carry us this far. It's really important to just take this moment and celebrate and celebrate this with 1,700 members and hopefully many, many more new ones coming along. And to just give you a little bit of a picture of this, you do matter. I mean, this little chart shows the our unrestricted income, which means really what keeps the doors open and the lights on, even though we're not in the office very much, but still, more than half of our day-to-day operation is supported by memberships and donations. We get a good amount from grants as well, and program income, but again, our membership base is absolutely critical, and that support is going to be critical to our growth and really meeting new vision and new ideas coming forward. And of course, a conversation about Midcoast Conservancy wouldn't be complete without really talking about the councils. And so the councils are sort of the local groups within each region, within our larger region, sometimes reflecting, in most cases, reflecting the founding organizations, so that each area, that no matter where you live, if you're new to Midcoast Conservancy or new to thinking about getting involved outdoors with your families and helping with trail work or leading a hike or offering, if you have an expertise in some, flora or fauna or outdoor experience you want to share, the councils are a great way to sort of access that. So really want to thank so much to both my education, and I'm sure they'll be very, very happy to welcome you to enjoy hikes and trail days and connection. And so, looking ahead, really just, looking ahead for a moment, we are thriving. It's been a challenging year for all of us in so many ways. There's no question about it. We have had to sort of pull in, but in that time of pulling in, we're also thriving as we're thinking about, we have something that people need and want. This opportunity to be outdoors has never been more important. We're trying to be as COVID conscious as we can and make sure that we can offer a safe experience still. And whether it's even at the staff level and board level, finding ways to get together safely. And most importantly, really, is recognizing that in a way, because of climate change, we have to work at a different scale. The systems around us, weather patterns, species migrations are changing. And so we need to be thinking at a larger scale. And so the coming together of the 5 organizations allows us to work at a scale that was not possible before. I've used this metaphor, internally saying, there were like 5 little boats in the harbor and they've rafted up, but actually we need a bigger boat. So we're in the process of building that bigger boat. And I hope that in the the coming years, you can really help us sort of build out this larger vision. So really appreciate your time and attention and willingness to kind of give up your evening hour to be with us. And so I'm going to turn it back to Buck at this point. Thank you so much.
Okay, now I think you can hear me.
Yes.
Good. So I'm back, and I'll try to wade through some board renewals with the technical issues and see how we do with this. We have 4 current board members who are up for renewing their terms, and all 4 agreed to do that. They are Tracy Moskowitz, Chuck Dinsmore, Hugh Riddleberger, and Glenn Rich. And I think I can say on behalf of the board that we are happy that they all agreed to renew their terms so that we get to continue working with them on all this work that you're learning about tonight. Lots to do. So, and to try to simplify things, we'll do a voice vote if that's possible, and with all 4 of them at the same time. And if the voice vote doesn't work, I might have to have you keep your arms up or hands up, and I'll scroll down and see who's voting yes or nay. But so let's try the voice vote. And again, the 4 people are Tracy Moskowitz, Chuck Dinsmore, Hugh Riddleberger, and Glenn Rich. So all in favor of renewing the terms of these board members, please say yes. Okay, I'm not hearing anything.
Everyone would have to unmute yourselves, or you may just have to raise your hands.
Okay, well, let's do that. Let's have everybody raise their hand and keep them up for just a minute, and I'll scroll down through everybody's pictures to make this legitimate. So all in favor, please raise your hands. We're almost there. I'm seeing lots of hands. This is amazing. We're dealing with technical glitches in the basic human way. That's it. I went through all the people who I have pictures of. All I saw was hands. So thank you all so much for wading through that process with us. And thanks to the 4 board members, and congratulations for renewing. I hope it's congratulations. It's more work, and we're appreciative. I do not have an agenda in front of me, so.
Door prizes. Door prizes.
Door prizes.
Prizes.
So Chris has those names.
Well, I'm Allie, I'm going to unmute. You should unmute yourself as well. Allie, you are unmuted also.
I am unmuted. And so I can tell you that our door prize winners are, drum roll, we have 3 of them. And they are Deb Bancroft, Bob Cole, and Liza Gottlieb.
Great. Great. Thanks.
Do we know what they get?
They get to choose. we have an array of options, including an overnight at Hidden Valley and some of our branded swag. And so I will get in touch with each of them, of you guys, because you're all there, and see what you want.
Great. And I believe that was our last item, correct?
Yeah, if anyone has questions. I mean, there's been a really lovely active chat. We've got 91 people on the call still. It was up to 95. It's awesome. So, but if anyone has any questions now or would love to follow up on anything, we really welcome your input, your support. Think of giving a gift membership this year as the holidays roll down.
I see Susan Russell there.
I just want to say that it's so great to see all these unmasked faces in a safe way. You've got a wonderful team working for Midcoast Conservancy, and honestly, goodness, what you've done over the last year is, with all the challenges, is truly stunning. And I hope I'm speaking for all of the members in giving you our heartfelt thanks to the staff and to all those dedicated volunteers, and to Buck, to you and the board for doing a huge amount of heavy lifting. So just as a member, I'm blown away and just beyond grateful. Thank you. And I hope you all have safe and healthy holidays.
I just want to echo the thanks to the staff. I run a nonprofit, so I know how these things can be. You all did a great job. And for those of us who are lucky enough to be in the area only in the summer, but elsewhere out of season, this was really a really great experience for me, being able to sit in and learn and hear from the staff. So I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
May I also add one thing?
Yeah.
Susan Russell was modest, and now I don't see her on my screen, but I know she's there. There you are, Susan. You know, early leadership, and so I also see or saw Steve Patton at one point, and Jody Jones I thought was there too, but I'm not sure. But
She is or was, she texted me.
tribute to those individuals as well who really got us going in those early years. And then how we couldn't be more fortunate to have Lissa in this position. I mean, who would have thought? You don't even know what she begins to have to deal with on a daily basis. And she does it with a smile on her face. At least we see the smile on her face. And we really have to thank her for stepping forward and taking on what was a much bigger job than she ever would have anticipated. So thank you, Lissa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do. Well.
Any last comments or questions?
I'll say this, I see so many faces here that I really miss seeing in person. I'm really used to being out there with you, either on hikes or at our wonderful events, which let's all hope we can see each other next year at Champagne on the whatever it's going to be, all right? Really look forward to that.
All right, great.
Thanks so much, everyone, for tonight. And thanks for all the work, Chris, that you and all the other staff did on putting this together, and Lissa. So
Thank you. Bye all.
All right.
Bye, Susan.
Bye.
Thanks, Buck.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Drive safely.
Good to see you, Tree.
Bye. Good to see you. Bye.
I miss you.
Miss you guys too. I'll be up for more Zoom meetings next week.
Shree, get well. Get well.
Okay, I'm working on it.
Right.
Nice to see you. Bye.
We could very well have needed to stop cloud.